Mr. J. Christopher, protect the righteous with wisdom and strength.
Types of claims or legal issues, if gone unchecked, tend to be the most explosive or problematic for an organization. And there's a ton. You talk a little bit about piracy, copyright infringement, the sexual harassment. Is there like one or two things you're like, listen, man, if you sit on that, you're going to be in big trouble, or are they all kind of the same in the same category?
Well, I think it depends. I mean, every company's different. Every company has a different sensibility about certain things. So maybe a younger company that's trying to establish itself in the marketplace may need to make sure that their trademarks are protected and they vigilantly defend them. And they, as they're establishing themselves not only in a particular, territory, but certainly throughout the world, you need to make sure that someone else isn't establishing that company called Uber in Germany or in Florida when you started your company here in LA. And maybe that name is so important to your business that you will go, it's a bet the company type of issue. And so certainly, you can think of a myriad of different types of situations where a particular type of issue is important to a particular company. And you mentioned, sexual harassment. Well, I mean, if your CEO has that allegation against him or her, it may mean the life of the company to deal with that situation appropriately, because maybe that CEO is so important to the company or maybe defines the company so that you have to figure out a legal and PR way to address it and resolve it in a way that will help the company survive. So it really is a case-by-case basis.
I'll say one thing. I mean, look, considering, all that's going on with the sexual issues with Harvey Weinstein and other people, I mean, I feel like I lost count of the number of men, and maybe, I don't think any women have been identified, but men that have been identified as, predators and abusive in the workplace towards women. I would say if you have an organization, big, small, tiny, tall, whatever, I would be very sensitive about any claims you receive in connection with a sexual harassment claim, because that area right now is on fire, clearly. You know what I mean? And it's a scary place to be right now if you own a company and you having to deal with messy things like that, right? So on that theme, obviously today's workplace is very hypersensitive and we live in a world of political correctness is everything, especially in the workplace. How should executives, creators, businesses be managing these potential legal issues that can arise in the workplace? So if a person is a victim of abuse in the workplace or as part of a production, what are the first steps they should be doing to preserve their rights, right? And then also the same is true for the other side. If they own a company that has been alleged to be the offending party, what should they first be doing to preserve or protect their rights?
Well, I think, an ounce of prevention is worth more than a pound of cure. I mean, I think investing on the front end in training, getting your protocols together in case something does come up, getting all that done on the front end is much better way to approach it than to wait till things have blown up and trying to put the cats back in a sleeping bag. I think in some of these issues that we're seeing now that are kind of human-based, discrimination or harassment and things like that, what the actual law says and what HR policy should be aren't always necessarily as intuitive as one would think. Like just trying to address these things based on your instincts or thinking, hey, I'm a good person, I'm a well-rounded person, I was raised correctly, I couldn't possibly be a harasser, or I couldn't possibly have be someone that discriminates. And we see what the actual standards are and what types of how easy it is to kind of cross lines even without having bad intentions. And so I think it's important that people are aware and actively thinking about the potential potholes that are out there, as opposed to waiting, counting on your ability to kind of react. These things they require you being proactive. I mean, society's standards change. I mean, mores change. Keeping up to speed. When you realize like you're actually at work, like this is a business. That we have interpersonal relationships, we've got friendships, and we're human beings that we interact. but we're primarily there for business.
Wait. Are you suggesting we can't be dating the assistant? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
You can't saying that
you can't take out the interns?
Saying that explicitly,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah, but I'll let me add to what Bobby's saying. Preventive measures is obviously extremely important, but let's be real. I mean, things are going to happen, or certainly, without question, things are going to be alleged.
Definitely.
Right? And so, just as important as the preventative measures being in place, you have to have policies and procedures in place to deal with the allegations that are made. So that means having an investigation process and procedure set up, making sure the employees and staff know what to do when they feel that their rights are being violated in that way. Maybe the investigation piece is internal through your human resources department. Maybe you farm that sort of thing out to a law firm to conduct the actual investigation, but it's that process of having the system set up, having the right advice from the HR group or internally or the law firm outside, and what to do to correct any measures that have correct anything that they do believe has gone wrong. All of that is extremely important and may affect whether or not the company survives, maybe in general, but certainly, how much money may come out of the bottom line, even in situations where the allegations are not true. You may have to pay because you do not have the right processes and procedures in place.
You guys both, touched on something that's really critical, which is, big or small organization, obviously the small ones should be listening to this very carefully. Is like, you have to have structures, procedures, methodologies, things in place to just deal with and vet these issues. Because if you don't, you're going to be in big trouble and may find yourself in court just because you didn't know how to deal with it. Just because you didn't have an investigation, you didn't have an intake form, you didn't have a document disclosure. I mean, a document that someone signs disclosing certain things in their history of the past. You may be hiring a pedophile for all you know, right? So I think that's a really, really good point. It's like, keep in mind that this is a business, and it has to be treated like a business, which means you got to be responsible and structure it internally as a business and take these allegations serious, right?